The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most operators spent their time watching radar screens that showed nothing but the usual space debris and distant stars. But tonight was different. Jack Wilson sat up straight in his chair as an unusual signal pattern flashed across his screen. At first, he thought it was just another piece of space junk, but the signal was too regular, too purposeful. He adjusted his headphones and leaned closer to his monitor. "Hey, Robert, come take a look at this," Jack called out to his supervisor. Robert walked over, coffee cup in hand, looking tired after 12 hours on shift. The signal grew stronger. It wasn't like anything they had seen before. It pulsed with a strange rhythm that seemed to ignore the normal rules of radio wave transmission. As they watched, the computer began translating the complex pattern into data. "This isn't random noise," Robert said, now fully awake. "This is a structured message." He pressed the emergency alert button, something that hadn't been used in the station's 15-year history. Within minutes, the quiet monitoring station transformed into a hub of activity. Scientists and military officials rushed in, their faces showing a mixture of excitement and concern. The message was being broadcast on quantum frequencies that humans had only theorized about. Technology that shouldn't exist yet on Earth. Dr. Anna Thompson, the lead scientist, worked quickly to decode the signal. Her eyes grew wider as the translation appeared on the main screen. It's a distress call," she announced, her voice trembling slightly. The message was clear but incredible. A fleet of 300 alien ships was stranded at the edge of our solar system. Their advanced propulsion systems had failed after encountering some kind of energy surge. They needed help, and Earth was their only hope. General Mark Peters, who had arrived by helicopter minutes earlier, read the message several times. "Could this be a hoax?" he asked. "No, sir," Dr. Thompson replied. "The quantum signature is real. We couldn't fake this kind of transmission with our current technology. They're really out there, and they're really in trouble." The United Earth Space Command headquarters in Geneva lit up with activity as the news spread. Emergency meetings were called, and leaders from every nation gathered virtually to discuss the situation. This was humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization, and it came in the form of a cry for help. The aliens identified themselves as the Stellar Confederation, a coalition of spacefaring species. Their message contained detailed coordinates and technical data about their situation. But what surprised them most was Earth's ability to detect their quantum communications at all. "We are surprised," came the first direct communication from the alien fleet. "Our scans showed your species as pre-quantum. How did you detect our signal?" Dr. Thompson explained that while humans couldn't generate quantum signals yet, they had developed basic detection systems. The alien response contained what seemed to be their version of amazement. As more data came in, the situation became clearer. The alien fleet's highly automated systems were completely paralyzed. Their advanced technology, centuries ahead of Earth's capabilities, had been rendered useless by the mysterious energy surge. They had enough emergency power to maintain life support for their crews, but time was running out. General Peters stood before the emergency session of the United Nations, his voice firm and clear. "We have a choice to make," he said. "These beings need our help. They may have technology we can barely understand, but right now, that technology has failed them. They're stranded, their systems are down, and they're asking for our assistance. The question isn't whether we can help them. The question is, will we?" The vote was unanimous. Earth would mount a rescue mission to save the stranded alien fleet. As preparations began, nobody realized that this decision would not only change humanity's place in the galaxy, but would also demonstrate that sometimes the simplest solutions could succeed where the most advanced technology failed. The story of humanity's greatest rescue mission was about to begin. The UES Prometheus, Earth's largest space rescue vessel, approached the stranded alien fleet after a week of travel. Captain James Miller stood on the bridge, his mouth slightly open as he saw the massive alien ships up close for the first time. Each one was bigger than any spacecraft humans had ever built, their silver hulls stretching for miles. It's like comparing wooden boats to modern cruise ships. Tom, his chief engineer, whispered beside him. How are we supposed to help them? The first meeting with the alien leadership took place through video communication. The alien ambassador, a tall being with silvery skin, looked down at the human delegation with what seemed like worry mixed with doubt. Your offer of assistance is appreciated, the ambassador said, speaking through a translation device. But our systems are far too advanced for your current technology level. Perhaps if you could just provide basic supplies until our backup fleet arrives in 6 months. Captain Miller leaned forward. With respect, Ambassador, we'd like to at least take a look. Sometimes a fresh pair of eyes can see things differently. After some discussion, the aliens agreed to let a human engineering team board one of their ships. Tom led the team, carrying basic tools that looked ancient compared to the alien technology surrounding them. This is incredible, Tom said, scanning the engine room with his tablet. Their whole system runs on quantum fields and AI controllers. But that's also the problem. Everything is so advanced that when the main computer went down, there's no way to operate anything manually. He walked around the alien engine room, his boots making hollow sounds on the metal floor. The alien engineers watched with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism as he pulled out a simple wrench from his toolkit. See this? Tom pointed to a large cylinder in the center of the room. This is basically a super advanced fusion reactor. But at its core, it's still just moving energy from one place to another. The principles haven't changed, just the method. Over the next few hours, Tom and his team made a surprising discovery. While the aliens' quantum computers were completely dead, the basic mechanical parts of their ships were still functional. The problem wasn't that everything was broken. It was that the aliens had no way to control anything without their advanced computers. It's like having a car where you can't even open the doors without a computer, Tom explained to Captain Miller. We need to create manual bypasses, simple mechanical controls that don't need quantum computers or AI to work. The aliens were shocked when Tom proposed his solution. You want to modify our ships with mechanical controls? The ambassador asked, his translator struggling to convey his disbelief. Like buttons and levers. Exactly, Tom replied with a smile. Sometimes the old ways work best. We can create manual overrides for your essential systems. They won't be as efficient as your quantum controls, but they'll work. The alien engineers watched in amazement as the human team began their work. Using basic tools and spare parts from their own ship, they started creating mechanical bypass systems for the alien vessels. Tom showed them how to install manual pressure gauges, physical emergency releases, and backup mechanical controls. Your species still builds backup systems, one alien engineer asked, watching Tom install a manual release valve. We abandoned such redundancies centuries ago. Our computers were supposed to be perfect. Tom wiped sweat from his forehead as he tightened a bolt. Perfect systems can still fail. That's why we always plan for the worst. It might seem primitive to you, but sometimes the simplest solution is the most reliable. By the end of the first day, they had one alien ship's basic life support systems running on manual controls. The aliens began to look at their human rescuers with new respect. Their technology might be centuries behind, but their understanding of basic engineering principles and their ability to improvise solutions was proving invaluable. As Captain Miller watched more engineering teams head out to other stranded ships, he couldn't help but smile. Humanity might be new to interstellar travel, but they were teaching one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy an important lesson. Sometimes you need a human touch to solve a problem. Maria Torres hadn't slept in 36 hours, but she couldn't stop working. As she studied the readings from the alien fleet's life support systems, her heart sank. The numbers weren't good. Captain Miller, she called over the radio, her voice tense. We have a bigger problem. The backup power systems on these ships are failing faster than we thought. We don't have 2 weeks. We have 5 days at most. The news spread quickly through both the human rescue fleet and the alien ships. 300 vessels, each carrying thousands of alien crew members, could become floating coffins in less than a week. "We need more help," Captain Miller announced to Earth Command. Within hours, every spacefaring nation on Earth responded. Chinese cargo ships, Russian rescue vehicles, European transport craft, and American engineering vessels all broke orbit, heading toward the stranded fleet. It was the largest space rescue operation in human history. The alien ambassador watched the steady stream of Earth ships arriving with amazement. "Why are you all helping us?" he asked during an emergency meeting. "We are strangers to your world. We have nothing to offer in return right now." "That's not how we work," Miller replied simply. "If someone needs help, and we can provide it, we help. That's what humans do." Maria worked with engineers from different countries, trying to find a way to power the alien life support systems more efficiently. The aliens' technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also incredibly power-hungry. Their quantum systems needed massive amounts of energy to function. Then, while taking a short break and drinking her 5th cup of coffee, Maria had an idea. She rushed to the communication room. "What if we're thinking about this wrong?" she said to the gathered team. "Instead of trying to power their whole system, why don't we power just what we need?" Her plan was bold but simple. They would use Earth's primitive nuclear power systems to run the essential life support functions they had converted to manual control. The aliens' quantum technology was more advanced, but human nuclear power was reliable and well understood. "It's like switching from a supercomputer to a calculator," she explained to the skeptical alien engineers. "Yes, the calculator can do less, but it uses far less power and gets the basic job done." The next few days were a blur of activity. Human ships connected their nuclear power systems to the alien vessels using adapters that Maria's team designed. Engineers from different countries worked side by side, racing against time. The aliens learned to operate the simpler human controls, while human engineers figured out how to maintain stable power flows to the massive alien ships. Not everything went smoothly. 2 power connectors failed, causing temporary life support outages. A Chinese engineer got badly hurt while installing emergency systems, but each time there was a problem, humans found a way to solve it. "Your species is unusual," the ambassador told Miller as they watched the rescue operation. "Most advanced civilizations would see us as primitive because our technology failed. They would let us drift here, saying we deserved it for depending too much on automation. But humans, you just want to help." Miller shrugged. "Maybe that's because we know what it's like to need help. Every advancement we've made came after a disaster taught us a hard lesson. We've learned that today's rescuer might be tomorrow's victim." With just 12 hours left before the original life support systems would have failed, Maria's team finished connecting the last ship to the emergency power grid. 300 alien vessels, now running on human nuclear power and manual controls, were out of immediate danger. As Maria finally sat down to rest, she saw messages flowing in from the alien ships. They were thank you notes, written in carefully practiced English, expressing gratitude not just for the rescue, but for showing them a different way of thinking about technology and cooperation. The immediate crisis was over, but no one realized that this was just the beginning. The real threat, the one that had caused this situation in the first place, was still out there, watching and waiting. Bill Parker was just a regular maintenance technician, but he was the first to notice something strange. While checking power connections on one of the alien ships, his old radiation detector started beeping. The reading made no sense. It showed a type of energy he'd never seen before. "The surge that disabled your ships," Bill explained to the alien engineers, showing them his detector. "It left a trace. This isn't natural radiation." The alien engineers grew very quiet. They hurried to speak with their ambassador, who immediately called an emergency meeting with Captain Miller and the human leadership. "What I'm about to tell you will put your world in danger," the ambassador said, his silver face looking darker than usual. "The energy surge that disabled our fleet wasn't an accident. It was a weapon." The room fell silent. The ambassador explained that an ancient species known as the Darkweavers had attacked them. These beings hated the Stellar Confederation and wanted to destroy their fleet. They had developed a weapon that could disable advanced quantum technology, turning the Confederation's greatest strength into a weakness. "They set a trap, and we flew right into it," the ambassador said. "They expected us to be stranded here until our ships lost power and our crews died. They never expected humans." Captain Miller leaned forward. "Why are you telling us this now?" "Because our long-range sensors are working again, thanks to your power systems, and they showed Darkweaver ships approaching. They're coming to make sure we didn't survive." The news spread through the rescue fleet. Earth's military vessels began moving into defensive positions, even though everyone knew their weapons would be useless against an enemy that could disable advanced alien ships. But Tom, the chief engineer, saw something important. "Look at this," he said, pointing to Bill's radiation detector. "Their weapon affects quantum systems, but it barely registers on our simple electronic devices. Our primitive technology might be our advantage." The next few days were a rush of preparation. Humans and aliens worked together, combining their technologies in ways neither species had imagined before. They installed simple electronic backup systems in alien ships and added alien sensor technology to human vessels. "It's not pretty," Maria Torres said, looking at the strange combination of advanced alien devices and basic human electronics they'd created, "but it works. If their weapon hits us, we can switch to manual systems instantly." The ambassador was amazed by how quickly humans adapted to the threat. Most species would panic knowing the Darkweavers are coming. But your people, they just keep working, keep solving problems. "That's because we're used to being the underdogs," Miller replied. "Humans have a long history of facing stronger enemies and finding unexpected ways to win." Bill's simple radiation detector had been modified with alien technology to create an early warning system. They placed these hybrid devices throughout the fleet, ready to detect any sign of the Darkweaver weapon. As they waited for the enemy to arrive, Miller noticed something interesting. The aliens were starting to copy human methods. They were installing manual controls in more systems, adding backup plans to their backup plans, and learning to think like humans, always ready to improvise. "Your species has taught us something valuable," the ambassador told Miller. "We thought removing all manual controls and making everything automated was progress. But you showed us that depending completely on advanced technology makes us vulnerable." Just then, Bill's modified detector started beeping loudly. The early warning system was picking up energy signatures matching the weapon that had disabled the fleet. The Darkweavers were getting close. Miller looked at his crew, then at their alien allies. Humans had never fought a space battle before, and now they were about to face an enemy that even the mighty Stellar Confederation feared. But they had something the Darkweavers didn't expect: a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology that had never been seen before. "All ships, battle stations," Miller ordered. The first space battle in human history was about to begin, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. Tom and Maria worked frantically in the engineering bay of the UES Prometheus, connecting the last pieces of their hybrid defense system. They had combined Earth's old-fashioned electronic circuits with alien quantum sensors in ways that neither species had tried before. "It looks like something from a junkyard," Tom said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "But it's the only advantage we've got." Captain Miller watched the main screen as the Darkweaver ships appeared at the edge of their sensor range. The enemy vessels were huge black shapes that seemed to swallow the starlight around them. Their advanced technology made the Confederation ships look primitive, and those same Confederation ships made Earth vessels look like toys. "All ships, switch to backup systems now," Miller ordered. Throughout the fleet, both human and alien crews turned off their advanced computers and switched to the manual controls they had installed. The Prometheus's nuclear engines hummed steadily, powering both their own systems and helping to maintain life support on nearby alien vessels. The Darkweavers sent their first message. Their language was harsh and mechanical, translated through the basic communication systems the humans had rigged up. "Your fleet will be destroyed," the message said. "No assistance will save you. No technology can resist our weapons." The ambassador stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching the enemy approach. "They're right about one thing," he said quietly. "No advanced technology can resist their weapons, but they don't understand what humans have done here." The first wave of the Darkweaver weapon hit the fleet. It was designed to destroy quantum computers and disable AI systems. The Darkweavers expected to see the remaining power in the Confederation ships die, leaving them helpless. Instead, nothing happened. "All ships report minimal impact," Bill announced from his station, checking his modified radiation detector. "The hybrid systems are holding. Our basic electronic circuits are still working." The Darkweavers attacked again, this time with more power. But the human-designed backup systems continued to function. Earth's primitive technology, which didn't rely on quantum mechanics or advanced AI, was largely immune to the Darkweaver's main weapon. "Launch the drones," Miller ordered. Earth's small, remote-controlled spacecraft, now equipped with alien sensor technology, flew toward the enemy fleet. The Darkweavers ignored them at first. Such simple machines couldn't possibly be a threat. That was their first mistake. Maria's team had discovered that while the Darkweaver ships could disable advanced technology, they had no special protection against simple electronic attacks. The drones, guided by human pilots using basic remote controls, slipped through their defenses. "Their shields are designed to stop quantum weapons and energy beams," Maria explained as they watched. They never thought they'd need to defend against physical objects controlled by simple radio signals. The drones began mapping the Darkweaver ship's structures, sending back data using old-fashioned radio transmissions that the enemy's jamming systems couldn't block. For the first time, the Confederation had detailed scans of their ancient enemies' vessels. "Look at this," Tom said, pointing to the scan results. "Their ships are like their weapons. They're completely dependent on advanced technology. They don't even have manual airlocks or emergency systems. They're more vulnerable than the Confederation ships were." The ambassador's eyes widened as he understood what this meant. "All this time," he said, "we've been trying to fight them with more and more advanced technology. We should have been thinking simpler." The human fleet began moving into attack positions, their nuclear-powered engines pushing them forward, while the Confederation ships provided cover using their remaining weapons. The Darkweavers, for the first time in their history, faced an enemy they couldn't simply shut down. Miller looked at his crew, humans and aliens working side by side, using a combination of technologies that spanned centuries of development. They had turned their greatest weakness, their relatively primitive technology, into their greatest strength. "All ships," he commanded, "prepare for battle. Let's show them what happens when they underestimate humanity's primitive solutions." The first shots of the battle came from the Darkweavers. Their energy weapons lit up space like artificial lightning, aimed at the combined human-alien fleet. But thanks to Maria's modifications, most ships quickly switched to backup systems before any serious damage could occur. "Return fire," Captain Miller ordered. The human ships launched their missiles, simple weapons guided by basic electronics. The Darkweavers hadn't bothered to defend against such primitive attacks, believing no one would dare use physical weapons in space combat. They were wrong. The first wave of missiles struck the Darkweaver ship's outer hulls. While the damage wasn't severe, it proved these advanced vessels weren't invincible. The Darkweavers responded with more energy weapons, but the hybrid shields Tom had designed held firm. "Their weapons are strong," Tom reported from engineering, "but they can't handle multiple types of attacks at once. Their computers are too specialized." The ambassador watched in amazement as Earth's outdated nuclear-powered ships moved in closer to the enemy fleet. The Darkweavers tried to use their quantum disruption weapon again, but the human vessels kept coming, protected by their simple electronic systems. Bill's voice came over the radio from his monitoring station. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. The Dark Weavers are using most of their power for their weapons. They don't have much left for their shields." This was the opening they needed. Miller ordered the fleet to execute their main plan, what they called the Swiss Army knife attack. Each ship would use a different type of weapon or approach, overwhelming the Darkweavers' specialized defenses. Russian ships launched electromagnetic pulses, technology considered obsolete by both the Confederation and Darkweavers, but still effective. Chinese vessels used high-powered radio waves to disrupt enemy communications. European ships deployed clouds of metallic debris that confused the Darkweavers' advanced sensors. "They can't adapt fast enough," Maria said, watching the battle data. "Their AI can't handle so many different types of attacks. They never programmed it to deal with primitive warfare." The Darkweavers began to retreat, but they faced another surprise. The small drones that had been mapping their ships now attached themselves to the enemy vessels' hulls. These simple machines, controlled by human pilots using basic remote controls, began cutting into the Darkweavers' ships with ordinary plasma torches. Their hulls are built to withstand energy weapons and quantum attacks, Tom explained with a grin, but they're surprisingly vulnerable to good old-fashioned cutting tools. The Confederation ships, now partially powered by human nuclear generators and running on hybrid control systems, moved in to support the attack. Their quantum weapons, combined with human targeting systems, proved more effective than either technology alone. The Darkweaver fleet started to break formation. For the first time in their history, they faced an enemy they couldn't simply shut down with their advanced technology. The human fleet's combination of simple and complex weapons, manual controls, and hybrid systems was something they had never prepared for. "Look!" Bill shouted, pointing to his display. The Darkweaver ships were trying to retreat, but their engines were failing. Their power systems, designed to handle massive energy weapons, couldn't adapt to the constant switching between different types of attacks. The ambassador turned to Miller, his silver face showing what could only be described as a smile. "Your people have done the impossible," he said. "You've beaten an enemy that has terrorized advanced civilizations for centuries, using technology we thought was obsolete." The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. The remaining Darkweaver ships fled, their once mighty fleet reduced to a scattered group of damaged vessels. For the first time, they had been defeated not by superior technology, but by the very thing they had dismissed as primitive. As the human fleet regrouped, cheers erupted across all channels, in dozens of Earth languages and alien dialects. Together, they had proven that true strength lies not in having the most advanced technology, but in being able to use every tool at your disposal, no matter how simple or complex. "All ships, stand down from battle stations," Miller ordered, watching the Darkweavers disappear into deep space. "And someone get Tom and Maria a cup of coffee. I think they've earned it." 2 weeks after the battle, the combined fleet of human and Confederation ships orbited Earth. The space around our planet was busier than ever before, with vessels from both civilizations working together to repair the damage from the fight. In the main conference room of the UES Prometheus, Captain Miller sat with Tom, Maria, and Bill, looking at a holographic display of Earth. The ambassador stood before them, his silver skin gleaming under the room's lights. "What started as a distress call," the ambassador began, "has become one of the most important moments in galactic history. The Stellar Confederation has existed for over 1,000 years, but never have we been so humbled." Tom looked up from his tablet, where he was still working on improvements to their hybrid systems. "Humbled? You're the ones with the advanced technology. We just helped a little with some basic engineering." The ambassador made a sound that might have been a laugh. "That basic engineering did what centuries of quantum technology couldn't do. You defeated the Darkweavers, a threat we thought was invincible. But more importantly, you taught us something valuable." Maria, who had finally gotten some sleep after the battle, spoke up. "What's that?" That progress isn't always about making things more advanced, the ambassador replied. Sometimes it's about remembering the simple solutions, about keeping backup plans and manual controls, about understanding the basic principles behind the technology we use. Through the conference room's window, they could see more Confederation ships arriving. But these ones were different. They had been modified with human-style backup systems and manual controls. Some even had nuclear power plants installed alongside their quantum generators. The Confederation Council has made a decision, the ambassador announced. We would like to formally invite Earth to join the Stellar Confederation, not as a primitive species to be uplifted, but as equals. The humans in the room looked at each other in surprise. Miller spoke first. Equals? But our technology is centuries behind yours. Technology isn't everything, the ambassador said. Your people have shown us that. While we were busy making everything automated and quantum-powered, you kept the knowledge of basic mechanics and manual systems. While we focused on making everything more advanced, you maintained diversity in your approaches and technologies. Bill's radiation detector, still modified with alien technology, sat on the table between them, a perfect symbol of what could be achieved when both civilizations work together. The Darkweavers aren't gone, the ambassador continued. They'll return, probably with new weapons. But next time, we'll be ready. The Confederation is already implementing what we call the human approach, adding manual backups, training crews in basic engineering, and maintaining simpler systems alongside advanced ones. Captain Miller stood up and walked to the window, looking at the fleet of ships orbiting Earth. Human vessels now moved confidently among the massive alien ships, their crews working together as if they had been allies for years instead of weeks. So what happens next? He asked. The ambassador activated another hologram, showing star maps and trade routes. We begin the exchange of knowledge. You teach us about redundancy, manual systems, and thinking outside the quantum box. We share our technology, carefully, making sure to maintain the balance of simple and advanced systems that proved so effective. Maria raised her hand. I have some ideas about combining our nuclear power systems with your quantum generators. If we do it right, we could create something totally new, hybrid technology that uses the best of both approaches. Exactly. The ambassador's excitement was clear even through the translator. That's the kind of thinking we need. Not just using advanced technology, but understanding when to use simpler solutions. As the meeting continued, more plans were made. Earth would become the center for a new kind of technological development, one that combined the best of both worlds. Ships would be built with both quantum computers and manual controls. Crews would train in both advanced technology and basic engineering. The story that began with a distress call had become something much bigger. The beginning of a new era in human history. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not by having the most advanced technology, but by remembering that sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. As Captain Miller looked at his crew, human and alien working side by side, he knew that this was just the beginning. The next chapter in humanity's journey to the stars was about to begin.